to a new episode of Depreciation Nation, and if you have been following the channel, you will recall that a few weeks ago we dropped a video on the loss of our 2021 Tucson and our 2021 Santa Fe. Both cars totaled due to no fault of our own, and we left that video with a little bit of a cliffhanger, which was, what are we going to get next? But before we get into that, if you haven't been following the channel, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen so that you don't miss more content like this. So, spoiler alert, we got another Hyundai. And behind me, you will see our brand new 2022 Hyundai Tucson, finished in Amazon Gray. This particular car is an SEL, which is a middle-of-the-line model, and both our initial Tucson and our initial Santa Fe were both SEs, which are Hyundai's base bottom-of-the-line model. Now, having said that, they have some pretty impressive tech on them for being bottom-of-the-line models. All of the cars came standard with Apple CarPlay or Android Play. The cars all featured nice interiors and a nice amount of accessories that made them feel much more luxurious than what they really were. This car, being an SEL, actually came fitted with some features and some technology that we didn't have on the first two cars. Now, of course, it still has the Apple and Android CarPlay, and of course it has all of the amenities that come on these as base cars. This car also features remote start, has heated seats, and has a proximity key with a push button start. Now, one of the things that we are most happy about with this particular vehicle is that the Santa Fe had push button gear selection, and as we lived with that over the very short time that we had that car, we found it to be a little less intuitive and to be a little less efficient than what a gear selector is when you have an actual gear knob. And so with the 2022 Tucson, we have returned to a gear shift, and that was one of the first things that we were very, very happy with. Due to the chip shortage and due to the market going crazy and due to a number of other circumstances that are out of our control, it is much, much more difficult to buy cars than it was 6 or 7 months ago. And as a result of that, a lot of dealers are charging what they call a market adjustment, which we don't necessarily agree with, and we will get into a little later in another video about exactly what that entails. But essentially what they are doing is they are charging $1,000 up over sticker. And so we had contacted several dealers, and we were quoted anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 over sticker. Now, we ended up securing this car at Hyundai of Kennesaw. Tony Shepard was our salesperson. I will tell you that they did not charge us that market adjustment, and I will tell you that as a result of that, we had just an incredible buying experience. They were very attentive to our needs, and they got us right where we needed to be. Now, funny story is we actually went to buy a Hyundai Kona because we had not tried one of those yet, and they had 8 of them yesterday morning before we went to the dealership to get this car. And when we got there, all 8 of those Konas had been sold. They were actually rolling the last one off the sales floor just a few hours after we had set our appointment to come in. Now, thankfully, they had just gotten a truckload of Tucsons, and so we were fortunate enough to get the Tucson that is behind me. Now, we've already done a full, in-depth, at-length review of this car. We'll go ahead and put a link to it in the video right now. And as a result of that, we are not going to bore you with another in-depth review, but we are going to show you around the car. We're going to show you a little bit about what we got, and then most importantly, providing we can hang on to this for a period of time, we are going to give you a long-term review on this particular vehicle from an owner perspective and not so much as from a review perspective. Now again, I can't mention enough that the Hyundais from this point forward all come standard with 3-year 36,000 mile maintenance, and I will tell you that the sticker on this was just over $28,000. So let's show you around the car and we'll be right back. Now, ironically, we're going to start with this car in the back seat, and a couple of things that we haven't mentioned in previous videos are actually that the back seats have a semi-reclining back, and so I can go from a 90-degree angle and I can actually lay my seat back a pretty good distance, which provides some extra comfort for rear occupants in the car. Another thing that I'd like to hit on is exactly how much legroom there is in the back seat. Now, this is considered a smaller vehicle by today's standards, but there is just a tremendous amount of space back here so that when you're riding back here with additional occupants, you're not on each other. Now onto the front seat, I want to address a few things that we did not when we did the 2022 Hyundai Tucson review. One of which is on the SEL model, we have an 8-way power adjustable seat. We have both a tilt and telescoping wheel, so you can put that right where it's comfortable. And then, as we've already mentioned, and what we're most excited about in this car is we have returned to a proper gear shift at a time when a lot of manufacturers are moving away from proper gear shifts in an attempt to clean up and streamline the interior. Now, we talked about the dash in the previous video, and I'm going to reiterate that again because it is probably one of the nicest dashboards in a car right now. Not necessarily with quality and not necessarily with stitched leather or anything like that, but the overall layout and flow of the dashboard is just gorgeous. We've got our tech right here. Again, in this particular car, we have moved away. Hyundai was placing their tech up here in a almost tablet screen on top of the dashboard. It's been reincorporated into the dashboard. Because this is an SEL, we didn't get all the touch screens, we didn't get the digital gauges. But one of the things that I am excited about, and one of the things that you will hear me talk about over and over and over again, are buttons. And so when you get the limited or when you get the top tier model Hyundais, you typically lose your buttons and everything becomes a touch screen. But in this car, we have retained buttons for all of our climate control, and then we've got all of our infotainment controls on the steering wheel. A couple of other things I'm going to hit on that might be a reiteration of that video, but we do have some autonomous driving features. We do have blind spot detection on this car. We also have lane assist, where you can push a button on the steering wheel and the car will center itself in a lane. And then we have active cruise control, which will bring the car to a complete stop in traffic. And so that is the 2022 Hyundai Tucson. Now, we were very happy when we did the review on this a few months back, and we can't wait to see how this car develops and how it evolves and how it ages and depreciates, and the overall reliability of this particular car. Now, you won't see any of that if you don't hit that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen, but should you hit that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see additional content on this. As the car ages, we're going to talk about any unplanned maintenance costs or any repairs that circumvented the warranty on the car, and just the overall durability of the vehicle and the overall likeness of the vehicle. So, stay tuned, and we'll talk to you soon.